Okay, friends, we're going to finish up on independent and dependent variables. Okay, so this last part, just because the video was long enough to begin with. So again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to highlight these terms because these terms are really important, independent and dependent variables, as far as my words are important. So independent, we can really, independent is talking about the X values, okay? And the X values were our input values, and our input values were also our domain values. Yikes, I said all of those, didn't I? Okay, and our dependent, our Y values, and our output values, and our range. Oh, there's another vocab term. There's another vocab. Okay, so independent and dependent variable. Okay, so the independent, so if we're looking at, so y is a function of x. Okay, oh, function. We used another vocab term. Holy mackerel. Okay, another vocab term. Means that y varies depending on the value of x. So if I look at this equation here, okay, this part is the independent and this part is the dependent, because remember, independent, there we go. Remember, our input went into our function box and gave us our output, right? So our X went in and out came our Y. Okay, so when we think about those terms, we see those a lot. So here we go. So the function Y is equal to a negative 3x plus 12 represents the amount of fluid or juice in fluid ounces. So if you remember seeing that, remaining in a bottle after you take X amount of gulps. Okay, so, okay, and it says the function, that's what I said. Okay, so right away, I'm going to highlight that word function. All right, so right away, remember I used the color pink before for my X, so my X, and remember my X, okay, and let's see, where represents the amount of juice remaining in a bottle after you take X gulps. So I'm going to highlight my X here. Okay, so my X is my domain, okay, which is also my independent variable. Now, the independent variable is not talking about, hey, just mention the X. What does X represent? Well, right here, X represents the number of gulps, okay? The number of gulps. Oh, and I use the word domain again. and I also used independent variable. Okay, so now let's do the other piece. I think I used red, didn't I? It's not my favorite, but I'll use red a little bit. Okay, so the Y, which is the range, is the same as the dependent variable. And that equals, now let's go right here. Y is the amount of juice. Amount of juice in fluid ounces. Okay? And I'm going to go back and I'm going to highlight the word dependent variable and range. Okay. If I were to graph this, friends, I would have my amount fluid ounces on my y-axis. I would have see the pink? Number of gulps on my x-axis. Okay? And it says, what's the domain? Okay, the domain is a set of numbers. What is going to be the range? So here we go. I'm going to set me up a little table here. All right, here we go. What's at 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4? All right, so here you go, friends. Come down here. So I'm going to set up my table. Okay. So I'm going to come down here. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do I'm going to do X. Then I'm going to put my Y, but I'm going to write it like f of X because this is really f of X, right? Okay. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here we go. So I'm going to plug and chug. So what is -3 times 0? That's 0 plus 12 gives you 12. So it looks like my juice, I had 12 fluid ounces to begin with. All right, what's -3 times 1? Well, that's -3 plus 12. Well, that's 9. Notice we're doing our inputs and our outputs, aren't we? Seeing a trend here. -3 times 2 plus 12. So -3 times 2 is -6 plus 12 is 6. Oh, do you see? Any guesses what this is going to be? -3 times 3 plus 12 is 3. Oh, maybe you're right. And -3 times 4, why, that gives me 0. That's weird. So you know what? Let's take this and let's actually graph it. So 0 and 12. So let's say this is, so this is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's go by 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay? All right, 0, 12. And then 1, 9. And 2, 6. And 3, 3. And 4, 0. That's interesting. Wow, went down, didn't it? So what does this mean? You're right. You drank it up. So empty. That's why you can't go any farther. Very good. So we just found the range, we just found the domain, we talked about the independent and dependent variables. We talked about the units, we even graphed the units. Wow, we did a great job. Good job, everybody.